Hello, everybody, and welcome to our very first Neuroblastoma stories. You have seen us for the last 2 months on Florentina and Friends through SPEAKUp events, where we host story times for Florentina every Tuesday and Thursday. This week, we wanted to take an in-depth look into Florentina's fight. We have Florentina's grandmother, Donna Marino, here to share a little bit about the insight into Florentina's journey over the last 8 months. On May 21st of 2021, Florentina was diagnosed with neuroblastoma cancer, stage 4, which is highly aggressive. And every year, about 100 children in the UK are diagnosed with neuroblastoma. 50% of those children are high risk, like Florentina. There is a bivalent vaccine, which is a trial vaccine here in New York, the only one in the world. And we are raising £250,000 for Florentina's opportunity to receive the bivalent vaccine. We need your help. We are here to listen and learn and go back a little before cancer and what was like life for Florentina and what is happening in her life right now. We have a special close heart and rainbow to Florentina through her grandmother. And we are excited to have Donna here to share Florentina's story with the world. Please welcome Miss Donna Marino.
Hi there. Hi.
Hi.
Hello. How are you?
Oh, fantastic.
Good to be here. Good to see you, Julie. Thank you very much for all that you've been doing. It's absolutely fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. It was so great to see Florentina on her story time with Granny Mac.
Yes, fantastic. Granny Mac always does such a good job, doesn't she?
She really does. And all the books from all the authors. I can't believe we've been at this for 2 months and 17 episodes.
Time flies.
Doesn't
it? Really does, yes.
And to see all the smiles and giggles that we've been able to create along the way.
Oh, it's been so worth it.
And this has been a really challenging year for your family.
Oh, gosh, yes. Well, yes. Well, last year, yes, when she was diagnosed in May 2021. Yes, I mean, it's just the worst news any parent, any family could, ever experience. It was a devastating time, and it does take a lot to get your head round the whole thing. Is this really happening?
Yeah. Is this happening to us and to your granddaughter?
Yes.
So can you tell us what life was like before cancer? What was Florentina's third year about?
Well, do you know, everything was, you don't realize how normal is until you experience what we've gone through. But before that, I mean, obviously we were coming up to the spring, and we'd had Easter, and we were playing Easter egg hunts in the garden. We'd put a climbing frame up, and we were looking forward to the summer. Florentina, we knew she was going to be starting school that year in September. Growing up, just watching her grow, play on a scooter, on a bike, with her cousins, with her friends, riding her pony. Just so normal, and so lovely, and was so grateful for what was happening back then. Not to realize that she was going to fall sick so quickly.
And when was there a few weeks before, was she just not feeling well? What brought you into the hospital?
Yeah, it was probably towards the end of April, beginning of May. She was off colour and just not very well, and she was sort of waking up in the night with a temperature, and Amelia, my daughter, was giving her Calpol you know, the children's medicine, keep the temperature down. And of course, we were still having difficulty getting to see a doctor because of the COVID restrictions. And in order for her to see anyone, you would have to go to A&E at the main hospitals. And I think it was about 2 weeks in, it was about mid-May, Amelia took Florentina to the hospital. I can remember driving in the car with her, waiting outside, because Amelia was pregnant then, and I wasn't able to go in and help her because it was still just one person was only allowed. And she took her in, and the doctor said, well, it's looks like a virus. He looked in her throat, he looked through at her tonsils. Florentina, let me just say, was very anti-doctors at that time. And she never liked not to be well. If she fell over, you weren't allowed to look at her because she wouldn't like you to see her hurting. So for her to go into the hospital to see the doctor wasn't a good thing for her. So she wasn't very cooperative. But the doctor managed to look down her throat. It should pass in about 10 days. And, you know, the usual. And you just came home. 10 days went by, and she was getting worse. She had no appetite. Amelia rang the doctor, spoke to the doctor over the phone, the local GP, and he turned around and said, well, you know, because she had constipation. That was another thing. So not only was she having a temperature, she had constipation, loss of appetite, losing weight, very distorted stomach. And so the doctor prescribed her some laxatives. And so we went on really for another week or so. And it got to the point, literally within 2 days, I saw her on a Tuesday. This was before she went into A&E for the second time. And literally on the Thursday, she had lost so much weight. She had no interest at all in playing. Her temperature was up and down. And so Amelia took her into the A&E again on the Friday morning. And literally, it was that Friday morning that she went into A&E. And in actual fact, they never came out of hospital since. So Amelia had gone, they'd gone with nothing. They got transferred the next day straight to the cancer unit at Great Ormond Street in London. And so to digest all that in such a short space of time, and to hear the news and to be told the news literally at midnight on the Friday night, and Amelia wasn't with Florentina, you know, they couldn't be together because Florentina's daddy wasn't allowed in there because it was, again, one parent. So it was a very difficult time, and they weren't 100% sure that it was cancer, but the fact that she was going to be transferred to the cancer unit, then yes. So
wow. And Amelia is 8 months pregnant at the time?
No, she was, oh gosh, let me think. The baby was due in September. So she would have been 3-4 months pregnant at the time. And she did actually, she did have Sophia a month early. Sophia was born in August. And that was due to a lot of the stress and being in hospital all the time and the pressure. I think the doctors were quite worried about Amelia, and so she had a C-section early. So there was all that stress and worry, and gave up work. He gave up work. He was fortunate enough to have family, his brothers and sisters all stepped in and helped to keep things running for him. So extremely blessed with Kevin's family. So yes, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
And after her diagnosis, she went directly into treatment. She had
Yes.
chemotherapy, and that was to shrink a tumor that was sitting on her kidney?
Kidney.
On her
On her kidney, yes. So she started chemotherapy a day after her 4th birthday, which would have been the 27th of May. And she was in hospital for sort of about 10 days, and then she would come out for maybe possibly a week, but sometimes she wouldn't always come out because if her temperature spiked, they would keep her in, they wouldn't allow her out. She needed plenty of blood transfusions, and when she was allowed out, she had the nurse every day, or they had to go up to the local hospital. Bloods were taken. Basically, they did spend most of that time until sort of August, until her operation. Most of the time was in Great Ormond Street. So yes, and she would be hooked up to the chemotherapy machine sometimes up to 50 to 60 hours in one go, which is pretty tough going for a 4-year-old. Yes, yeah.
Just to keep them sitting still and entertained.
Yes, yes,
Feel good.
yes, and all the side effects, the sickness, and the just the loss of hair, the just everything, the tiredness. But she has been extremely strong, Florentina. We have been so fortunate. She really is a little warrior. She really is. And determined. As I said, it didn't help all along because she wasn't keen on doctors. And, I mean, I have to have a little giggle to myself because every week she has to have a dressing change for her Hickman line. And this dressing change should really, I think, take about, I don't know, probably 10, 15 minutes, maybe half an hour at the very beginning just to get the children used to it. But it used to take Florentina, it would take them 2 hours a dressing change. So, but they did eventually get it down to a fine art. And of course, she still has to have these dressing changes once a week, whether a nurse comes in at home to do it or whether she's in the hospital to do it, she still has to have a dressing change. So, so yes, it's she's a good girl now with that. Yes.
Wow. Well, and a little birdie had told me that the stickers, the adhesive that's used for her Hickman line, that those are really hard to find. And that I know that there are a few people here who have actually sent packages of those adhesives for Florentina. So I have a package of those to be sent for her in her next box.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's fantastic. Those are pretty
Thank
hard.
You, Julie.
Yeah, those are hard to
Thank you. Yes.
have around. And
yes, and for the nose, but obviously all the plasters as well on her body, and yes, as well as the NG line, I think it is, isn't it? The nose feed.
Yeah.
Yes.
And will that continue with her through her frontline treatments? Will she?
Yes, it will. I mean, it has obviously been a vital source of nutrition because when she hasn't been able to eat, it has to go through her nose feed. But for instance, the treatment she's at now, because we're now 8 months on, she's at the immunotherapy stage, and she has oral treatment alongside IV treatment with that. And so the oral treatment, which in fact she started today, that gets syringed down her NG tube, which is her nose feed tube. Yes, so it's really important. It's vital that they keep that. Yes, that she keeps that.
And a question that was asked, is hers on the left side? Is her, with photos, I think when you look at Florentina, is her line on her left side of her face or her right?
Do you know, it actually alternates.
It does. Okay, good.
Because quite often they sometimes do have to change it. And also when she was going through chemo, especially when she was having the real high dose chemo and she was being sick and she was wrenching, quite often the tube would come out and they'd have to put it in, and because it would get sore, then they'd put it in the other side. So good question. I don't know what side it's in at the moment, but yes, the fact that it's in, it just does need to remain in. Yes.
Got it. So it could be either the left or right, just depending upon her current care.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that was a great question to be asked and answered. So she had her chemo, and that shrunk the tumor, and they were able to remove a grapefruit-sized tumor from her kidney.
Yes. Yes.
And following that, did she have other treatments before her stem cell treatment?
So she went from the her last dose, which I think she had 8 doses of chemotherapy. That last one finished, I think, the beginning of August last year. And about the, well, I know exactly when, because Sophia was born on the 11th of August, and sadly couldn't be there for the birth. I was the actual birthing my daughter, because Kev, Florentina's daddy, had to be with Florentina because she was having her stem cells harvested at that time, which was over a period, I think, of about 4 days, having those something like 12 million cells harvested, something in that region, in order that for those to be put back in again, ready for the high dose after her operation. So it was all going on at that time.
That is a lot for any family.
Nothing prepares you. And then, of course, once Amelia had the baby, Florentina's operation was the end of August. In fact, I think it was the very last day in August, the 31st. So she was back in hospital with Florentina, and that's when I stepped in along with Alison, his twin sister, and his other sister, and his cousins, and his mum, and we all just rallied round and took it in turns to have the baby, which was quite daunting, actually, because to have a 2-week-old baby that's not with her mother, and you're up, it was a culture shock as well, because I was up feeding in the night, so was Alison, and we were on the positive side, it did actually bring us, the two families, together, and it's made us really strong, and we've got some very good friendships out of it. And I think you always have to take positives, because there's just too many negatives in this journey. So yes. So of course then Florentina had the operation. It was very successful. The surgeon managed to remove the tumor. Of course, all along this time, she's continuously having scans, MRIs, MIGBs. It's just constant through the whole of the treatment. The tumor actually came out. It was good. It was successful. It hadn't spread elsewhere. They unfortunately, because it was so large, it was the size of a grapefruit, and because it was so large, she literally had to, like, all her bowels, that's why she couldn't go to the toilet, or her stomach, everything was pushed out of place. So the surgeon had to do a really good job of putting it all back correctly, being careful. You can imagine all the vessels, you can imagine how tricky and how complicated it was. But it was successful, and she came out of that really, really good. Yes, it was, yeah, it was just the relief, the sheer relief. I mean, although we still have a long journey ahead and we had more to go then, but that was just a relief. And of course, the main thing is, once it's out, we've got to keep it away. So that's when the high intense chemo started, and that was in September. Yes,
I remember towards the end of the middle of October, she was getting done with that, and just keeping her spirits high is what we needed to do, because she was struggling a little bit.
Yes. And I can't tell you how many transfusions she had, platelet transfusions. I mean, it literally zapped everything, and zero immunity, and nothing was there. And once she had that, I think that was for 6 days solid. And I think the following week they did the stem cell transplant in order, obviously, so that she could start to build her cells and build her immunity up herself. But it was a struggle, and the side effects of the high intense chemo is brutal. That's all I can say. It's absolutely brutal. And for parents to watch that, fortunately, you know, Kevin has been off every single day. So although there's only allowed one parent to sleep in the hospital, two parents are allowed in every day. So Kev and Amelia have been able to support one another. But what they've seen and what goes on in those hospitals and other people's journeys and other people's stories is absolutely heartbreaking. And this is the stuff that you don't see. And this is the things that families have to endure. And, you know, and it's very daunting knowing that because there's a chance of this neuroblastoma coming back, of a relapse, a 60% chance. That's really, really high. And if it does, then the risk is even lower, because at the very beginning, to be told that your child or their child, my granddaughter, with this type of neuroblastoma cancer only has a 40 to 50% chance of survival, it doesn't register. It really doesn't register. But to be also told that there is a vaccine at the end of the frontline treatment, which is, you know, this treatment is anywhere between 14 and 18 months, provided everything goes well, that there's a vaccine available, which would greatly improve the chances. You know, I'm not sure of the exact percent, but it's around about the 90% chance, as long as she stays in remission, as long as she stays clear and everything works, then she can have the vaccine. But going back to how families have to deal with that, to be faced with the fact that this is going to cost somewhere in the region of £250,000 is just, you know, parents think, where's that going to come from? And when parents literally have to give up their jobs and give up their lives and have their lives on hold for this, and maybe no income coming in, where, you know, yes, you have no choice but to fundraise. And we're very fortunate, raising very early. As soon as we knew, we got together, both families, and as we did, and we got more support on Florentina's Footsteps. We met people like yourselves, and you know, it's expanded, and we've been fortunate. We've still got some way to go, but you know, we are getting there, and you know, we have every chance and every success for Florentina, and
Absolutely.
you know, so grateful.
And you're at 60% of your gives so far. And that is incredible. And what is our time frame? Because I know that we need to get in line for the bivalent vaccine. So I know we have frontline treatments for 6 months, but we have to get our funds in to get in line for that. What is our time frame?
Right. It's still, nothing is definite, because any treatment, you know, the doctors and the consultants can give you an idea, but every child is different. You don't know how they're going to react to the next sort of treatment. So obviously she had the radiotherapy before Christmas. That was 12 days, and she was home for Christmas. Fantastic Christmas we had. Again, so grateful. And yes, I mean, the radiotherapy went well. That was successful. Yes, there was a few little hiccups. Florentina did get an infection in her Hickman line the first week, and she was very poorly. But apart from that, we've been very lucky, and that all went well. So we're on target now for our next lot of treatment, which actually started. Well, she was in the hospital yesterday, and she's home today, and Amelia has started her on her oral medication. And if I just tell you a little bit about the immunotherapy, which we believe would possibly take us to about mid-July. That's what we've worked out. This is obviously, because Florentina's yet to go through this, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. So I have jotted down a few things here so that I can let you know what this entails. So her oral medication started today for immunotherapy, and this is a liquid goes in a syringe through her tube. And this actual treatment, the oral one, is actually treatment for severe acne, believe it or not, which is very interesting. Apparently, retinoids are thought to influence the way in which cells develop and prevent the production of specific genes that may cause cancer. So this is what the oral medication does. This consists of 6 cycles, 14 days at a time. And then after the 14 days, she will have 10 days of IV, of it intravenously, which means she goes into hospital for her first one for 10 days. And she'll be in there, and she'll be hooked up to something or other that will then give her the next lot of treatment, which is, again, sorry, I have to read this because I'm not sure about this yet. But it's a biologic medicine. It's a man-made version of a naturally occurring antibody. It works by stopping the neuroblastoma cells from growing. So that's what that does. Again, there are side effects. It can affect her vision. The oral, the oral liquid that has a side effect of drying her skin, dry lips. She has to be moisturized 4 times a day. Her skin's going to be sensitive. She's not going to be allowed out. If she is allowed out, even if it's a grey, rainy day, she's going to have sun cream on. Because it's extremely sensitive, and that's going to take us right the way through. That consists of 6 cycles. Yes, 6 cycles of the oral and 5 cycles of the IV. And then the next time she has her second cycle, I think she goes in 5 days hospital, 5 days out. And then the one after that, it might just be 1 day. And if everything's working well, she'll be able to have it at home. She'll be hooked up at home.
Oh, that would be nice.
So we're not sure whether the times that she does have at home with her oral medication, whether she'll be able to start school. But she'll be 5 in May, and she still hasn't been to school yet, which, you know, it would be nice, but we just don't know. We don't know how she's going to react. But we think this will take us to mid-July. And once those cycles have finished, we believe that she'll have lots and lots of scans to check that that she's she's still clear of the cancer. As long as that's the case, and all those scans show up clear, we'll get her on those flights to New York straight away. There will be you can't waste any time with this. Has to be done straight away, so I believe. But we don't know many people that have actually done this yet. I think there is a little boy, and I think that's been quite successful. Amelia is speaking to this lady at the moment. It'd be lovely to get her on, Julie, tell her story. And there's lots of other children that Amelia, mums that Amelia speaks to, that it would be lovely to hear their stories.
That is our hope.
Their journeys, what they're going through, what stages they're at.
Yeah, you are the
Yeah,
beginning
but
of our neuroblastoma stories, and it allows us to get to know the kids, the children that are surrounding Florentina, the ones that are in the hospital bed next to her going through the same thing. And you've
yes,
met these families, and you, like you
yes,
said, you built relationships with them.
yes,
And
yes,
so to find a way to support everyone in your community and everyone who is fighting neuroblastoma, that is what Speak Up is here
yes,
for. And that's
yes,
what we're about.
yes, yes, exactly. And there are a lot of success stories with little children. I mean, neuroblastoma, you know, the amount of children that we know about, it can start from the age of 18 months. 2 years. It is quite common in 3 to 4 year olds. Unfortunately, in 4 year olds, for some reason, it does seem to, when it's diagnosed, it does seem to be, it goes straight into stage 4.
Mhm.
High risk. There's a little girl at the moment. Her name's Eden. I believe she's 6. She's going through a similar time. I think she's going through high intense chemo
Yeah, right
at
now.
this, little bit behind Florentina. So it's nice. I hope
Yeah.
to Florentina's story, take some kind of, I don't know, comfort from it, maybe, if that's the right word, I don't know. And hopefully we can hear others, their stories too, so that we can all take comfort and all have hope.
Yeah. And create a community of support. And that's
Yes.
what it is. You've
Yeah.
allowed us into your lives because you need that support. And I can imagine that you broadcasting your family across the world wasn't on
Yes.
your plans for last.
No, gosh, no, no.
But we need all of the help and support and for this cause to help support Florentina and every child who is fighting neuroblastoma cancer. So the big thing is, how can we support you? What do we have going on for Florentina in the next couple weeks and months that we can have our viewers get involved with?
Well, I'm not sure that I'm the best person to ask. I do know lots of things that are going on, and Alison deals with quite a lot of the fundraising one side. There's raffles going on. I do have talks with I've met some amazing people in the boxing community, and some celebrities, and, you know,
Mhm.
that can take these things further. And yes, there are some boxing events coming up. We've had some auctions. There's going to be some more auctions coming along. I think we've got a boxing event on the 26th of February, which is local to us here. And there's another one that's being organised like the one before, which went on before Christmas. That, I believe, is going to happen in March. There's other people, I think, that just friends and family, they're going to do sponsored things. I think we're trying to get raffles, just anything and anyone on board. And I think the main thing is to go on to Florentina's Footsteps, see what's going on, because that will tell you more. Yes, and I do try to keep in touch, and I do help fundraise certain side of things, but I don't know everything that's going on.
Yeah, no, I love it. I would love to have Allison on. We will definitely get in contact.
Yes,
She is
yes,
heading up
yes,
any
yes. I know
more.
she's watching. Hi, Alison.
Okay. Hi, Allison. That's awesome. Well, you also have some merchandise and ways that we can get involved with Florentina's Footsteps. Can you tell us a little bit about how our viewers can get in contact with Florentina's Footsteps?
Um, well, just it's on Facebook, obviously. You've got me there, Julie. I mean, I'm not very. I'm not the
There is a
best at social
website.
media.
Yeah, we're both learning this together. I'm wondering though, there is a website and it's
Yes,
www.florentina's Footsteps.
yes.
Okay. I'm going to put this .com and I'm going to put this down in our chat. And so there are ways to get involved for Florentina's Footsteps and also our Just Giving Fund. The Just Giving Fund
Yes.
is linked at the bottom of our screen, and that links you directly to Florentina's Just Giving Fund. And we are currently 60% to our goal of raising 250,000 pounds for the bivalent vaccine that we are going to be supporting Florentina through at the end of her frontline treatments.
Yes, yes. So Florentina's Footsteps on Facebook and on Instagram. So, you know, you've only got to do the search and it will come up, and all the posts are on there, all the links and the bio and everything. So, and it's always manned. So, you know, private messaging, anything, any ways of getting in touch. It's quite easy to follow.
And is there any needs currently that Florentina and her family are in need of, above and beyond just the need for give? I know that there are certain needs in their current life. Is there anything that we can help support them in with now?
I think that they're doing okay. This year they've been very positive. You know, I think they want to say goodbye to 2021. Not a good year. Well, so baby Sophia came.
Yeah.
Even though she came a month early, she was good, thank goodness. So you know, I mean, that was something beautiful that came out of 2021. But this year they feel more positive. They are, would it be 3/4 of the way through their frontline treatment? I don't know what New York involves, because I think that will take us through to 2023.
Yeah.
So there is a long way still to go, but we're seeing light at the end of the tunnel, or they feel that they're seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. So they're in a good place right now. Thank you, Julie. You know, I mean, as far as a good place is concerned, you know, and yeah, my family are very supportive. Kev's family are very supportive, and we've built this whole community, and all these followers and all these lovely people that, wow, it's just changed everything in life. And there's so many people out there with good hearts, and that means the world. You that's something you can't buy, and it's, yeah, it's lovely. So as far as their needs, they're doing fine. Thank you so much. They are doing fine.
That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing Florentina's story and her journey and ways that we can help continue to support her over this next year. And we will be here every step of the way.
Thank you, Julie. I do so appreciate it. And thank you to everyone that has supported us so far, everyone who's donated. Thank you. Please carry on if you can. No, I can't do my hearts.
We are looking for every way. There we go. We got it. See? We got some love.
A fluttering butterfly.
I love the butterflies too. Those
yes, butterflies are good, because they transform. So
they do.
Yeah.
They do evolve and transform. Well, thank you for allowing me to come on without my neck brace today. It's
you look beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for today and for kicking off our neuroblastoma stories. We will be back again next week with a new story to be able to share with you and show you the journey behind these beautiful, brave warriors who are fighting neuroblastoma like our Florentina is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
thank you so much, Julie.
Oh,
yes.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful day. Sending love. Love and light.
Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.